Briscoe people take a little longer to get started, but that is fine. Welcome everybody to the NBA Strategy Show presented by Yahoo Sports. It is Wednesday, January 8th, coming off a just really unfun slate, at least for me. If you are a winner, congratulations. We're going to break down today's 9-game slate. And by we, I mean myself and Sal Vetri. Sal, what's going on, man?
How's it going, Josh? How are you, sir?
I'm good enough. Last night didn't go well, but that's DFS for you, I guess. I'm just happy that LeBron played. I did have quite a bit. I assumed that I was just going to wake up to see that he did not, in fact, step foot on the floor, but got lucky there. That's pretty much the only thing I got lucky with. Andrew Wiggins was an abject failure. Harry Giles, I thought was playing well.
Yeah, I don't know why his stints were just so weird.
Yeah, so that was not exactly fun. I mean, nobody really amazing yesterday. Andre Drummond was on pace for 1 million fantasy points after the first quarter. Quieted down a little bit, 61.5. Still very happy to have him. Whiteside, same point per dollar play as Drummond on DraftKings last night. So if you didn't have one and you had the other, it really didn't matter. Only LeBron and Devin Booker, along with the two guys I just mentioned, crossed 50 fantasy points. Just kind of gross all the way across the board. No one broke 10x, which I think is interesting. Highest value guy, once again, Trevor Ariza, 31.75 fantasy points, 9.1x. One of the few things I actually got right. Second highest value play, Dwayne Dedmon. Didn't even know if he was going to step foot on the floor. He had 26.5 at the flat minimum.
Yeah, I saw the alert that he was active. I just didn't know what it would do.
Yeah, it's craziness. Dwight Howard, third highest value. Tony Snell, fourth. Brandon Knight, who was the belle of the ball early, quieted down a little bit as that game went on. O'Shea Brissett hit 8x. Just kind of a gross day, man. Gross day.
Yeah, and Brissett was I saw he got pretty much closing run over RHJ in that one.
Yeah, wild. Would not have expected that. Jay Crowder, Melo, Torian Prince. A lot of guys in like the 0 to 5% owned range. Winning lineup went to Milwaukee Boy. Yeah, that's had 2 entries here. Won $100,000. Kyle Lowry, Jarrett Culver, Trevor Ariza, Carmelo Anthony, Steven Adams, Chris Paul, Jay Crowder, Hassan Whiteside. Congrats on getting Culver right. 3% owned. Couldn't get that dude when no one's healthy, but Wiggins comes back and Culver becomes functional. Love it.
Yeah, solid lineup. Yeah, somebody asked me, I remember specifically somebody reached out about like a Teague or Culver, and I was just like, well, Teague. I really don't know what you're going to get from Culver, and the one night that you don't expect it, you get it.
It's frustrating, but I mean, that's a good lineup. Nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
Mixed in the chalk with the more contrarian plays. Got him to the top spot. Congrats on having 100K. A lot of single entry or low volume plays at the top. 2 entries for the first place guy, 2 for the second. Single entry, 7 single entry, making up the top 7. So a lot of individual bullets. We got Alex's exposures here. 95% Kyle Lowry. I was right there with him. 92% Nemanja Bjelica. I did not have nearly that much. He went for 6.7x, so perfect play there. 92% Harry Giles. 6.3x, but you're hoping for a lot more out of $3,100 guy there. Chris Paul, RHJ, and Drummond, the next 3 highest owned guys for one. Alex Baker. Biggest fade? Unfortunately, he had 0 Trevor Ariza.
Yeah, so did I. And I think the Chris Paul thing was the scariest because he had ownership, and I think at half he had like 6 or 7 fantasy points, and it was rough. He needed all of overtime. I mean, he was going to get there without overtime, but all of overtime really got him there.
I opened up the app and was scrolling through, and I was like, how many fantasy points did Chris Paul have? Because I knew at halftime, it was not very good.
Yeah, and I immediately thought my night was over just at halftime, and I was like, all right. And then I was like, oh, okay. And then Andrew Wiggins got to play, and it was over. And Buddy Hield.
Yeah, Wiggins killed me. 24.5 fantasy points, 3.6x. on
He was the
DK.
exact same way as Paul, too. At half, he had 11, and then he had a huge third quarter, and I don't even think he scored in the fourth.
Brutal, man. Brutal. Yeah, no problem scoring. It cost me $100,000, man. I really appreciate it, Andrew Wiggins. Thanks so much for your accomplishments in life. You are on my.
That happened?
That
I
did
know that.
happen. He was part of the problem, at least. Hit like 2 threes in the last 90 seconds.
Oh, my God.
Not fun. Not fun at all. But what is fun? Playing fantasy sports at Yahoo, presenting sponsor of this show. I am dropping the cash building blocks link of this Emacs article in the chat right now. Highly recommend you check it out. This is yesterday's article. Get a feel, Emac. But check out the bottom of the article. Click the link. Use the promo code AWESOMO. Get yourself $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points. That's the only place that you can become a baller. You're going to have lower management fee contests, sometimes no management fee contests. You're going to see a lot of 10 max contests. They have CSV edits now, dipping their toe in the 150 max water. It's going to be softer competition. I highly recommend you check it out. An Emacs Cash Building Blocks article is going to be the easiest way for you to do that. But you can also sign up at awesemo.com. Go to awesemo.com/join and use one of 2 promo codes. You've got today, tomorrow, and Friday remaining on this deal. This is the pinned tweet. If you want to check it out, use the promo code 2020 2020. You can get 20 days of Awesemo Plus Platinum for just $20. Gets you access to everything except for Fantasy Cruncher. Link is in chat right now if you want to click that. Or if you really want to take a jump into the deep end of the pool, use the promo code NEWYEAR. One big word, NEWYEAR. Get 20% off your first year of Awesemo Plus Platinum. That's a $200 savings. Again, it gets access to every piece of content that exists on our website. Does not include Fantasy Cruncher, but again, it can be added on as well. All you have to do is use the promo code NEWYEAR, one big word. Now we got 9 games. We got a lot to talk about today. And lots of like up in the air injury news. That's really not fun to talk about at 9:30 in the morning.
Yeah, no, I agree. We got a lot of news on this one.
So I'm ready to dive in if you are.
Let's rip it.
Here we go. Boston Celtics, San Antonio Spurs. Celtics 6-point favorites in San Antonio. The news here is pretty easy. We don't know if Kemba Walker is going to play. He is questionable. He's just been sick. This isn't an injury. I have put him in now. He's been missing a week, but it feels like the spot where he's finally going to be back. So I have projected him in. In ownership, he's not picking up much, just 2% on both sites. We've got Gordon Hayward at 16% on FanDuel, which I agree with. We have Jaylen Brown at 10% on FanDuel. Nobody else on the Celtics is in double digits. I would say that Gordon Hayward stands out most to me. Both he and Kemba Walker would be the guys I have my eye on. What do you want to do with Boston?
Yeah, so I'm projecting Kemba in too. I'm projecting him for normal run because of the illness, like you mentioned. I have Hayward as the guy I like the most, just point per dollar wise and almost pure scoring wise. He's getting the minutes now. He's been getting that 34, 35 minute range. He's the one who probably doesn't get impacted the most, if anything, benefits a little bit from a better assist rate from Kemba Walker in there. But Jason Tatum loses production on a point per minute basis. You have Jaylen Brown likely to go to the bench in this one, point per minute production when he's with. Kemba goes down as well. So Hayward's the one that stands out. All these guys right around 35 minutes of play, they're still fine. So it's secondary options for the rest of them, at least on DraftKings. Hayward at 7,100. What's his ownership on DraftKings right now? We have that, right?
Hayward?
Yeah.
2%.
Yeah, so I definitely like that then. So, yeah, he grades out as the guy I like the most from Boston on DraftKings.
Agreed. We are on the exact same page there. No ownership at all really coming to Boston. 2% to Kemba, 6% to Tatum, 5% to Brown, 2% to Hayward, nothing to anybody else.
Yeah, and I think it's hard now. Even if Kemba was to sit, Smart's still okay, but he's up to 5,600, which is a steeper tag for him. If you get Kemba to play in this one, he's just not even in question for me. Yeah. And then just the issue with Kanter and Theis, I'm putting them both at 20 minutes of play or 22 minutes of play each. Kanter looks fine. His price point is not moving, even though he continues to produce really well. So honestly, we were trying to find some value. He's priced up now, so it's not great, but I think he's one of the better center options on the slate. And by better, I mean on a 9-game slate, he's somewhere around like my 7th or 8th center.
Okay. Yeah, I don't get the sense that I'll be getting the Cantor or Tice. I'm just going to try to stick to the Fab 4 of the Celtics.
Yeah.
And even then, like Jaylen Brown for 7,400 with Kemba back is kind of a tough sell for me. Really just not all that appealing.
Yeah, I agree.
Neither is the opposite side of this game. San Antonio Spurs. DeMar DeRozan in double digits on both sites, 10% on FanDuel, 16 on DK. Deshante Murray sneaks over that barrier. He's at 11 on DK. LaMarcus Aldridge, 9% on both sites. I would say that I guess I like Aldridge the most out of anyone across the board. $29 on Yahoo, probably his best price, but I don't get the sense that I'm going to be going wild about anything from San Antonio. Highest ranked guy I have in my DK player pool from the Spurs is Deshante Murray, 44th.
Yeah, Deshante Murray is the best that I have from them. And that's if I give him 27 minutes. If I give him 26, he's just also very similar to DeRozan and Aldridge. I have them both getting there like 50% of the time, but it's nothing great. More of secondary interests. If I had to just pick one of them in terms of GPPs, I think I would go with Aldridge. You're just going to get more of a security floor there, but playing closer to the basket at center. I just like the upside there. But yeah, Murray, Aldridge, and DeRozan, they all grade out value point per dollar wise, pretty much the same for me. Everybody after that is just going to cut into each other's minutes enough with the Lonnie Walker now playing 20 minutes hurts the Rudy Gay upside too. So I think I would rank it Aldridge, Murray, and then DeRozan here, which is interesting because DeRozan is still really cheap, but it is still a tough matchup drawing it down.
Yeah, none of these guys look particularly good, and I agree. Aldridge, DeRozan, and Murray all look pretty similar to each other.
Yeah,
just a unappealing fantasy game. Ooh, boy, unappealing real game. Charlotte Hornets, Toronto Raptors. Hornets are 3.5-point underdogs at home. As far as I know, everybody that could be healthy is healthy for Charlotte. I think MKG might be out, but he was going to be out because of skill, not necessarily because of injury status.
Marvin Williams got a nose job too.
Yeah. Marvin Williams is questionable. I have him out as of right now. I didn't even recognize the fact that he wasn't there just because I knew that I was going to have him at like 18 minutes.
They said the report was he got nose surgery, so he got a nose job. And then they said could play. Like he got a nose job like yesterday, and they're like could play tomorrow. Questionable. I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I can't imagine wanting to get out there the day after that when you're playing for nothing. It's not like this is, to get them into the playoffs or something. It's like, I'll wear a mask.
Exactly.
Devontae Graham, 7,300 on FanDuel, 7,600 on DK, just slightly over 10% ownership across both sites. Rozier, similar boat in terms of ownership, and then PJ Washington is at 10 on DK. There are two things I like in this game a lot. Devontae Graham on both sites, well, on all sites, clear across the board. More than okay with rostering him. And then Bismack Biyombo is only 4,100 on DK for... Did I miss something here, or is he not going to play like 24 minutes or so, potentially?
No, he should. I have him at 24 right now.
Okay. I like Biyombo for 4,100 here.
Yep, yeah, Biyombo stands out the most to me at 24 minutes. The matchup's not nearly as bad. It's still a tough matchup. These replacements, especially Bouchard, and then you still have Ibaka in there, have been playing well, but I mean, you have no Serge, or you have no Siakam, you have no Gasol, so not the same type of a matchup. And 24 minutes of play, yeah, he grades out as just one of the better cheap, if not the best cheap option at center on the slate, center eligible only. So Biyombo stands out. The rest of these guys, I prefer Rozier a little bit ahead of Devontae Graham, but they look very similar for me. I gave Rozier 2 more minutes. I think that's why. I think I have Graham at 35, Rozier at 37, or it might be 30. Yeah, 35 and 37. So if I put them at similar minutes, like 36 each, it would be probably a little bit of a flip, but they're very close. And then PJ Washington, I like a little bit there too, especially if Marv Williams is out. You can get those secured minutes closer to the 32, 34 range instead of 30. I think that offers some value at 5,600. The rest of it just goes pretty unnoticed. None of these guys, outside of maybe Biyombo, depending on how you want to construct your lineups with Harden at the top and Luka and Giannis today, none of them stand out besides Biyombo for value too much. But you said you like Graham a lot today.
I do like Graham a lot. He's actually 8th overall for me on DK. Okay. I've got him in for 36 minutes, 39.3 DK points. I just really love the price. I don't see anything else. I mean, we'll get to Harden later. He doesn't really count for today. But other than that, like he's my second favorite shooting guard on FanDuel.
That's fair. I should probably change some of this. I don't think I've adjusted like anything for Toronto over the last like 2 weeks, and that definitely needs to be adjusted with who they have.
Eric Smith says Hornets are in 9th in the East, so they are playing to make the playoffs, Josh. The Hornets have a 2% chance to make the playoffs. They are not trying to make the playoffs. I mean, they have no chance to make the playoffs. Let me be very clear here.
They're like plus minus.
They project to be minus 7.2. Let me check and see where they're at for the actual season. They are 26th in the league at minus 6.5. Yeah. They aren't making anything unless they expand the playoffs to include 26 teams. They are probably not going to make it, and even then, it's probably a 50-50 shot.
They're also like 1-2 week stretch of Devontae Graham injury away from just losing every game.
Yeah, they have no chance, guys, 0 chance. You know who else has a 2% chance to make the playoffs in the East? The Atlanta Hawks. So. Yeah. Not happening anytime soon, guys. You guys could say that they have a chance. I'm going to go with the math on this one. And when they drop this game tonight to Toronto, even though it is sort of the walking wounded Raptors, they're still 3.5-point underdogs in this spot. So I want to bet on it. Yeah, I would love to. Because you guys seem to be giving me like 50-50 odds on this when the actual odds are significantly bigger. Kyle Lowry, once again, 8,200 on FanDuel, 8,600 on DK, $39 on Yahoo might be his best price. I don't know, probably 8,200 on FanDuel. I'm going to have a ton as I did yesterday. Same scenario as yesterday with Fred VanVleet out. Lowry just has the ball significantly more, and he's going to play 38 plus minutes. So Lowry is going to be my guy. I'll be going back to OG Anunoby on FanDuel at 4,700. Not as enamored with him at 5,500 on DK. That's probably it for me from Toronto. I don't find Ibaka or RHJ or anybody else here all that interesting.
Yeah, Lowry grades out right now as my number 3 overall play on the slate. So just, another fantastic option. RHJ with a little bit of a price bump. I think it's only like $100. He's still appealing to me. He didn't close. We mentioned it earlier that it was Brissett that closed. I think it was just because of the way he was playing rather than just not letting him close. Now, I don't think RHJ is just a lock to close either. So that's the issue there. You might not have him on the court. He pretty much lost out on like an extra 6 minutes at the end of that game. He came in with like a minute left, but at that point it didn't matter too much. So at 4,900, I'm still fine getting there a little bit, but it's mainly Lowry. In 150 minutes or so, it's such a small sample, but it's still worth mentioning that with no Siakam, no Gasol, no Fred VanVleet on the court, this guy's averaging like close to 1.6 fantasy points per minute. So he's just doing every single thing for the team in all departments outside of rebounding. So, and even then it's spiking. So yeah, at $8,600, he's a really good option. Again, right now ranks as my 3rd best play on the slate.
Nothing I can add to that. That he's just the dude when those guys are off the floor. Projected for 18% ownership on FanDuel, 12 on DK. I can't imagine how much more I would have had, or I will have, if that holds. OG Anunoby at 25% ownership on FanDuel. I get it, but man, that doesn't feel good. He's the chalk small forward of the day right now.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got such a wide range of outcomes, and a lot of it's scoring-wise.
DFS stats are not used to determine playoff positions. I'm not looking at that, but sure.
If it was, they'd probably be better than we're saying.
Yeah, they certainly would. They certainly would. 538. There they are. Projected to be 5 games behind the Pistons, who will also not make the playoffs. It's just not happening. That's not how math works. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The Nets are projected to be the 8 seed, and they've got a 50% chance. So the Wizards are projected to be better than the Hornets. If anybody's looking for anybody looking to try to figure out if the Hornets are any good.
I wonder how they weight like the Nets' chances with not having a timetable for Irving. Like I wonder what it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, just from like he could play any day now, and that obviously I would imagine changes their chances.
I'm almost positive that they like. I don't want to say project rotations because that might be a little bit too in depth, but like they definitely put Kyrie on the team for like, I don't know, 30 games for the rest of the season or 20 or something. They are taking into account that. 538 adding in Blake being out, I would imagine they do all of these things. That's another team that's not making the playoffs, but 14% is also 7 times higher than the Hornets odds. Anyway, Indiana Pacers, Miami Heat. The Pacers are 1-point favorites here against Miami. Tricky one. Malcolm Brogdon. I do not have him in right now. How are you handling Brogdon?
Yeah, I didn't put Brogdon in, and I have Sabonis in.
Same thing. Good. At least we're talking about the same thing. Do you have Justice Winslow in for the Heat?
No, I do not.
Look at us. We didn't even talk about this. Nailed it. So those are the pertinent pieces of information for this game as of right now. Malcolm Brogdon questionable, Domantas Sabonis questionable, Justice Winslow questionable. I mean, Winslow's been out forever. There is absolutely no reason to speculate that he will be in until he is in. Brogdon, I'm just hoping he's not in because it's just easier. And Sabonis just generally plays, so I'm not going to really take my chances there. So let's talk a little bit about Indiana, or just this game as a whole, because there isn't a single person projected for more than 7% ownership on either side for either site. Aaron Holiday is the guy that I have the most interest in. If Brogdon ends up being out, you could talk me into a little bit of Kendrick Nunn. Obviously, Bam and Jimmy Butler are in play sort of always because of their role with the team, but this is wildly unappealing to me.
Yeah, on the Indiana side, I think that it's Holiday stands out the most. I have him in the entire game as just like the best point per dollar play. 30 minutes of play, around 28 and a half fantasy points. I don't really want to get to Miles Turner on this slate. He like grades pretty far down the chain of just centers for me, but he seems okay here. Playing bigger minutes as of late. You can put him at 30, 31, and it seems okay. If there's no Brogdon, which right now I'm listing that for not being in there, Jeremy Lamb's a guy who's pretty consistent. We'll have a spike night here and there. He seems okay, but and probably not going to get to Sabonis in this matchup. He continuously just goes out there, puts up the nice 20 and 12, 15 type of games, double every single time out. But I think there's just better options, especially some of the games we're going to get to. So Holiday, I actually probably get to a decent amount of. On the other side, it goes, my interests would be Kendrick Nunn, Butler, and then actually Tyler Hero ahead of Bam slightly. And it's really just because he's cheap. You're going to get maybe 24 minutes out of him. Keep an eye on Justice Winslow. He's going to come back one day, and that'll just ruin Kendrick Nunn, Tyler Hero, and everybody else. I mean, Derek Jones Jr., he can play everywhere. So yeah. I think for me, it's going to be pretty similar. 1, Aaron Holiday, and then 2, Kendrick Nunn. Nothing else really changes. You got a huge bump up from Goran Dragic of like $1,000. So even if you put him at like 30 minutes, it's still a lot with Jimmy coming back. So he's not appealing.
Yeah, I like that Tyler Hero shout too. 3,800 on DK, worth a shot. If his shot is falling, like he will stay out on the floor. But Nunn for 4,600 on DK feels like a pretty nice price tag today.
Yeah, I agree, and so does Butler at 8,200. It's just you have right next to him Lowry, so it's really hard to prioritize if like people watching are just going to play 1 to 3 to lineups tonight.
Yeah, who else is around that Butler price? Would you rather have Jimmy Butler or Kemba Walker?
I'll tell you that right now. Let me go to Kemba. I'm going to guess Jimmy Butler, but
I have them literally equal, so hence the question.
Jimmy Butler I have for like 0.9 fantasy points more.
Okay.
So I'll go Butler.
See how often I have one outscoring the other. Butler and Kemba Walker. 52% Jimmy Butler, 48% Kemba.
As even as it gets.
Yeah, coin flippy. Feeling coin flippy. Yeah, this game is not fun, and with all that injury news hanging in the balance, it's a good thing it's a 7 o'clock start, so we'll know Winslow's status, Sabonis' status, Brogdon's status. So it's really hard to want to speculate. And if Brogdon is in, I'm assuming I have even less interest in anything on the Pacers. And if Winslow is in, same story. I think that neuters everything from Miami.
Yep, I agree. I think the only other outcome there, and like deeper dive live before outcome, are you on either of those? Like you guys can talk about that.
I am.
Like Sabonis being out, like we don't have to talk about it too much right now, but Goga's been getting the run. I don't know if they would start him at the 4 ahead of like Sampson or Leaf though. So we'll, like you said, we'll have lineup news. So it's really no need to go crazy about it.
Perfect. Orlando Magic, Washington Wizards, 10-point favorites for the Orlando Magic here at home against Washington. God, this is going to be train wreck as per usual for Washington. I'm so tired of talking about these idiots. We'll start on the Orlando side. We know the status of this team at this point. In terms of ownership, Vooch in double digits on FanDuel, but just barely. Fournier got there as well at 15%. Fournier and Gordon both at 15 on DK. Nobody else in double digits there. I'm going to be going back to Terrence Ross for 4,800 on DK. He continues to get no ownership whatsoever at like what I would deem a reasonable price point for someone that's going to play 27, 28 minutes, especially if he gets hot shooting. After that, Vooch looks solid. I like him more on FanDuel at 8,800. I'll have some shares of Aaron Gordon. I'll have some shares of Evan Fournier. But I've got 5 guys from Orlando in my player pool right now. One of those guys is actually Wes Iwundu at the old 60th spot on DK. What stands out to you from the Magic?
Yeah, I've got 6 guys in there, and Iwundu is one of them. So the guy that I like the most right now is probably Gordon, and it's a little bit ahead of Vooch by a decent amount. So just Gordon getting the start the last 2 games at the 4. I'm expecting it to be Iwundu at the 3 and Gordon at the 4 as I project this.
Yeah.
Washington literally doesn't have a 4 on their team. I think they're running out Bonga and Troy Brown at the 4 right now. So good matchup there for a guy who is a good rebounder, just hasn't been able to take advantage of that playing at the 3. He's getting the minutes now after coming back 2-3 games ago from an injury. So I like the fact that on DraftKings, he's small forward eligible. So you can get another power forward guy closer to the rim into those lineups. Vooch after that stands out. I think he's like a top 3 center play on the slate for me. We'll get to another guy later on that's just cheaper who I prefer, but he's definitely in play. And yeah, Iwundu, he keeps getting the minutes. If Iwundu at 3,500 on a slate where I'm imagining a lot of people are going to try and get value is going to play another 28 minutes. I don't think he's great. He's nowhere near a fantasy point per minute guy, but the more that this guy goes out there, he's going to be able to gel and just get a knack for the offense a little bit more. So the more he plays, the better for our purposes, for his point per minute production to go up. If anything, it can't go that much further down. I think he's a really good value. So I rank this team right now, Gordon, Vooch, and then Iwundu, but I also have Fournier, Fultz, and Ross in a player pool right now. Augustine's also fine, but it's just like a mad play at that point.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of I think I need to rotate Terrence Ross's rates down a little bit. I have him bit higher than I should. We'll dig into that a little bit later. It is a little bit of a pace up spot for Orlando, and obviously a fantastic defensive matchup because, well, Washington is Washington as of late. So Bradley Beal is questionable as per usual. Thank God this is a 7 p.m. start, so we should know pretty early. What do you want to do with these guys?
Yeah, I'm projecting Beal in because so Garrison Matthews is out now too, so they just keep losing guys who could play 20 minutes for them. I don't know, 18 minutes. So if Beal's out, they have the guards. They can just have Ish, and Isaiah Thomas hasn't been playing a ton of minutes. Just force them to play 28, 30 plus minutes. So that's where I think the minutes go to, unless they have somebody else that I'm not accounting for, which they might. So yeah, right now with Washington, if I project Beal in, I'm not giving him full run in minutes, but
I gave him 32.
Yeah, that's what I have him at 32 right now. So at that point, it doesn't look that great for the matchup. I think the thing that I like the most here is probably Troy Brown. I gave him a lot of minutes. I gave him 33 minutes in this one. He projects out nice, nothing fantastic, but a pretty solid value at 5,400, small forward eligible. So I do like that. And then after that, not a lot. If you do get Beal out, you can go right back to McRae. Price point is up though. All these other guys, though, I think are just going to split up 26 to 28 minutes if Beal is in, outside of Brown, who I think breaks free. Mahimny is probably the guy who's up next for me at 26 minutes. Tough matchup, though.
Yeah, I'm with you on Troy Brown. He is absolutely my number one Washington player. That includes having Beal in. But I will get a lot of Troy Brown, and we have him at 5% owned on FanDuel and 3 on DK. Going to be a little bit higher than that number if that holds. I'm fine getting to some Jordan McRae. I'm fine getting to a little bit of Ish on FanDuel, but the prices are starting to rise. Mahinmi looks okay at 4,600, but there's only so much you could really get excited for there. Troy Brown is the only guy that I look at and I'm thinking okay, I have him at 32 minutes, and I think that I'm going to get a lot of him.
Yeah, I agree with that. I have him at 33. I got to look. I guess I'm just assuming without looking, which isn't great, that he's playing 4 minutes. I just don't know who else is playing 4 minutes. I know Bong is getting like the honorary start there, but I think they run so many guards that he just seems like he has to be closer to the basket.
They don't really have any fours, so he kind of just is by default.
I mean, like barely.
It's really easy to look at and be like, well, it's definitely not Isaiah Thomas. It's definitely not Ish Smith. Like Jordan McRae is a guard.
Yeah, that's the thing. They have 3 guards out there at all times.
Yeah. I mean, Admiral Schofield, it was probably technically a 4, although he's probably smaller than Troy Brown.
Yeah, and he's not even playing. Like, I think he played the last game actually, but not a lot.
Yeah. They don't seem to be running him out all that much,
which is weird because they have no one.
Yeah, it's craziness. Testament to skill set, I guess. Yeah, just keep a close eye on this one. If Beal ends up out, a lot more Wizards are going to look viable. There's just going to be that many more minutes to go around, especially with Garrison Matthews out. But I think you could safely pencil in Troy Brown, and I don't think you should have too many issues penciling in someone like Jordan McRae, at least on FanDuel. No issue there.
I agree.
All right, let's hit one of these 7:30 games. Atlanta Hawks, Houston Rockets. 113.25 implied total for the Hawks. 121.25 for the Rockets. That is by far the highest implied total of the slate, which should be no surprise considering this game is going to be really fast and Atlanta's defense is bad. Now, we'll start on the Atlanta side. Trey Young is 9K on FanDuel, 26% ownership, but I love it. 9,700 on DK, 15% ownership. More than okay going there. John Collins continues to pick up just tons of ownership. 7,400 on FanDuel, 8K on DK. He's at 27% owned. Nobody else in double digits here. I would rather have Kevin Herter than John Collins, especially given the ownership. You could probably talk me into Alex Len at 4,400 before I got to John Collins at 27%. But Trey Young is the guy that I want from Atlanta for sure. What do you want to do with Atlanta?
Yeah, so Trey Young's the guy who stands out the most. At the price tag, I just don't know if I'm going to get to him a lot based on how this slate plays out, but he does look really good. One of the better guard plays for me. Atlanta in a really good pace spot here. They're projected to see around 6 more points than their season average for a points-wise, so it's just a huge spot for all these guys. You had in the last game, Collins was on pace to play about 33 minutes. He got his 3rd foul pretty early in the 3rd, took away, 3-4 minutes from him. So if you project him around 30, then yeah, that's where I have him at right now. He doesn't look as great, just a very meh play. But if I give him 32 or 33, that's when he starts to pop a little bit. So probably something I'll have to try and decide on. But right now where I have him, I don't have too much interest. I have it ranked as Young, Huerter, and then Alex Len. And yeah, Kevin Huerter is playing a ton of minutes right now. Just averaging close to like 34 minutes a game over the last week or two. 0.9 fantasy points per minute. I mean, this is kind of what they drafted him to do. So he's finally doing that at 6,200. It seems a little bit steep, but when you factor in the pace and just this points bump for them, I do like that. I think I probably get to Young, Len, Huerter, and Collins in that order the most as of right now.
I agree with you. Yeah, Young is an easy number 1 for you.
Yeah, so like if I do like the value ratings, he's at like 5.33, and then Huerter and Len are pretty much both at like a 5.15 or something around there.
Trey Young, 17.6 on Fantasy Draft, $46 on Yahoo. I'm cool with those prices. The guy that we really need to talk about here, this one's easy.
This is fun.
Yeah, a lot of ownership coming into Houston too. Harden, Capella, Tucker, Gordon, and Daniel House, all in double digits on both FanDuel and DK. Some guys into the 20s. Some guys like Capella on FanDuel into the 30s. But James Harden is projected for 52% ownership on FanDuel, and it is absolutely justified. I would rather have 100%. No-brainer for me today on one James Harden. He's 12.8 on DK. That is a big price tag. Still no issue getting to him. 18% owned there. After that, I think Capella on FanDuel looks like the second best option. I think PJ Tucker on DraftKings at 4K looks like the second best option there. How do you want to handle this Houston team in an absolutely dream spot?
Yep, yeah, it couldn't get anybody. Like when I saw earlier, I missed the news. I just forgot it earlier this morning when I was projecting this on Westbrook, and at 9,100, I was like, oh, this is a great spot. And then I saw that he's resting, and I was like, oh, well, that's a waste. And then I remember that Harden's on the team, and even at this price point, Yeah, he's even at the price point, he's still like my almost top value on the entire slate, which is just nuts. He averages over 1.9 fantasy points per minute when Westbrook's off the court, and that is a great sample of almost 500 minutes. And then you take into account that he's not just playing like 32 minutes a game. He's going to go out there for, even in games when they're blowing out the Hawks, they still run him late into the fourth for 36 minutes as like a low number. So if you put him at 38 minutes here, he's going to grade out for over 70 fantasy points for most people. And that's a really good spot. So he is probably the top play in the entire day. He is for me right now. Clint Capella is my top center on the day. I like him a lot here. He sees a fantasy point per minute bump of almost 0.1, which is significant when Westbrook is off. A lot of that is pick and roll offense, but also just rebounding increases. And then all the guys after that are just similar plays. Tucker, since he's cheaper, is the guy I like the most on DraftKings for his consistent 35, 36 minutes. Also can say that he sees a little bit of a rebounding bump without Westbrook out there. And then after that, it's Gordon, it's House, it's Rivers. They're all sort of the same type of play for me in the same range. I would prefer House, then Rivers, and then Rivers and Gordon are like very similar. So Harden, Tucker, Capella on DraftKings, and they're all priorities right now.
I would go Harden, Tucker, Gordon, Capella on DK, but Capella is number 2 for me. Capella is my number 2 center on FanDuel, behind Rudy Gobert, actually, which we will get to. But going to be hard to not have a chunk of Houston. Atlanta is just so bad.
Yeah, and it's also worth pointing out, like, even if they blow out Atlanta, and this is a team that does run their starters late into the games, they haven't played since the 3rd. So it's a really good chance that they're going to play once in a week. They're going to just get as much run as they can.
A lot of people just talking about what you need out of Harden. I have it at 74 fantasy points on DraftKings for Harden.
As his target score?
Yes.
I have him projected for like 72 right now. So.
Yeah, I'm only 5 short, and that's still one of the better numbers I have of the day.
Yeah. Wow.
I have him 3 over his target on FanDuel. So I have him getting there more than 50% of the time.
Yeah, it's just great.
Yeah, it's no-brainer. No brainer. 51%, I would assume I'll have 100.
Yep.
I'll take my chances. He's going to have to get shot. We do want to pay attention to one thing, and this is not a joke, but keep your eye out in those Atlanta strip clubs. Things could get rough for James Harden here. That is, his kryptonite may live in Atlanta.
Is that a highly rated?
I'm pretty sure, right? That's like one of the tops.
I feel like I've heard about it. Yeah, I feel like I've heard about it often in Drake's songs, so it must be.
Let me Google that article from Reddit and find out where they are.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, Atlanta's where trap literally originated, so I'm pretty sure like the actual name of the popular one is said in almost every single trap song. Like anything from the Migos, 21 Savage.
Oh, why can I scroll up and down here? Miami has the highest, which is obviously shocking. Can't find the link. All right, there's the Reddit link. Perfect. Let's figure this out here because I think it's relevant.
I think it's relevant. Uh-oh.
Here's the methodology. Strip club rating by city. Ooh, Atlanta, not all that high, actually. They are
really
21st. It might be a volume thing, not a quality thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Also, this is based on Google reviews of these lovely gentlemen's clubs, at which point the kind of person that's going to go on there and review that might not be the best guy.
Yeah, so the buffet might be a little bit worse then.
Yeah. Anyway, something to keep in mind. Atlanta known for their adult establishments. James Harden known for spending some time there. But if you don't want to worry about Harden and his nightlife, you can worry about hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel, and hitting the notification bell so you know when we go live. Let's just get those likes up like crazy. Lofty's not here to ruin eggs with ketchup. You like eggs with ketchup?
Yeah, I had it like an hour ago.
Did you really?
Yeah, I got the you gotta put it, if you make an omelet, you gotta put it in the middle of the omelet before you fold it a little bit.
So it looks like it's bleeding when you cut it?
Exactly.
Oh God, you and Lofty just need to do shows together.
Okay,
From now on.
the quick background is my roommate. I went to high school with him, and all throughout college, literally eats everything with ketchup. Like you can pizza, anything with ketchup. This guy eats. So I never used ketchup for really anything. Never liked it, and then I just was around it for like 4 years, and I think like 2 years ago I started putting it on pretty much just eggs, breakfast food. But yeah, now I'm hooked to it.
No, I have a friend that is so against condiments that he once dreamed that I was putting packs of ketchup into his coat pocket without him knowing, and he woke up in the middle of the night and like sleep texted me some really unsavory things about me that I'm not going to repeat on here, yelling at me for putting ketchup packets in his coat. So I had to text him in the morning. I was like, "Hey man, what's going on?" He's like, sorry. I guess I was asleep when I texted you. I had a dream you were putting ketchup in my coat." And I was just like, and that set you off, man? No, I have known him since I was 9 years old. Like, it's just, he's out of his mind.
Yeah, I got to the point where I was putting it like 2 years ago, like on like nice pieces of meat that I was eating, and then I was like, I got to stop this. Like, this is a waste of actually making anything decent.
Yeah.
But on eggs, I'm down for it.
Craziness. Absolute craziness. So, guys, again, please hit the like button. It would help us out tremendously. Free content today. Get ready. PGA, the winning element. The article from Jason Roslin for this week's Sony Open. That is free. The NHL lineup builder, free. And for all the crazies out there that have not subscribed yet to awesomeo.com, you will get Fast Eddie Fear's rankings free tonight if you are interested. Links will be posted in chat, definitely during the deeper dive and live before lock. We'll have Jake's NHL strategy show coming up at 4. Alex will be back behind the paywall for his game plan stream. That will be on the website as well. Lofty and Adam will be back for the deeper dive at 5 p.m. And then myself and Fast Eddie Fear running it back again today, live before lock from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock. And then we're not done yet. 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Jason Roslin, Ben Rasa, PGA live before lock. Talking Sony Open. I will be there. Lots of content today, guys. Come tune into all of it. Got to hit the like button first. That's what we need more than anything. 4 games to go.
I don't know why I thought you said, when you said I will be there, I didn't know why I thought you meant you will actually be in Hawaii. Because then I was about to say, are you going to be there? And then I stopped, but I said it anyways now, so whatever.
I wish that I were going to be in Hawaii.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Now, I will be there, as I will be behind the virtual glass while Ben and Jason do that.
Fair enough.
But I would really prefer to be in Hawaii. Mike Ostry, have fun at the Sony Open, Josh. Hawaii is great. Yeah, I won't be there, man. I won't be there. I will not be at this PGA event. I will simply just be sitting in this very seat while Ben and Jason talk. Don't go near volcanoes, Josh. Be careful. Whoops. Apparently I misspoke. We'll get back to basketball. That'll be better for everyone involved. Dallas Mavericks, Denver Nuggets. Mavs, 3-point favorites at home against Denver. Nothing interesting for Dallas as of right now. Kristaps Porzingis still out. For Denver, however, Will Barton will be out. I think that'll be mildly relevant. Let's start on the Dallas side, where only Luka Doncic is in double digits in ownership. I have very little interest in him at 12-3, given Harden's status on this site for today. Just, they're going to be projected wildly different. Denver, clearly a much better defensive team than the Atlanta Hawks. I think Maxey looks okay for $4,400 on FanDuel. He's $1,100 cheaper than he is on DK. That's pretty much it for me. I like Luka on FanDuel way more than I like him on DK, and I like Maxey on FanDuel. I don't really have any other interest in the rest of Dallas.
Yeah. I mean, speaking on a DraftKings side of it, I mean, we'll have to see what happens with Harden's ownership. If it stays at like 18%, then yeah, I'll have like no interest at all in Luka. If it comes up to like something on a 9-game slate, like 50, 60%, I honestly probably still just get 100% Harden. So it's really hard to want to get to Luka. He does project out nicely, especially with Porzingis out, but it's still like 10 fantasy points less than what I have for Harden, or right around there right now for just a $500 savings. So if you wanted to be very contrarian, yes. But if not, I think the more optimal play right now is just go very overweight on Harden. So I probably won't get there much. With Porzingis out, you do see bumps for guys like Powell. He does see a pretty significant bump in almost 400 minutes. He's like a 0.9 fantasy point per minute producer. So that's nice to see. It's just a really tough matchup for the guy. And even then, he doesn't grade out all that great. So he's right around just a very meh play with all the guys at center. We talked about some of them already, like Biyombo. I probably don't get there much. Tim Hardaway Jr., if the minutes come up, played 22 in the last one. He could be appealing at just 4,400 here. Again, a really difficult matchup. Barton being out would help a little bit, not a ton. For me, it's Luka, then Tim Hardaway Jr., then Powell, but it's a huge drop off after Luka, and even then, Luka's not a priority.
How many minutes did you give Hardaway?
I have him right now at
played 21 in his return. Had been playing, roughly 30 before going down.
Yeah, I have him at 25 right now, and even then, it's not like great. I just wanted to get some of it.
Okay.
But yeah, like if he was to spike for like 28, 30 today, it would be really good at that tag.
I agree. Denver Nuggets have a little bit of chalk showing up here. Jokic is right around 10%. I'm relatively indifferent as of right now. I'll have him. Nothing crazy. Feel kind of the same way about Jamal Murray. But we need to talk about the chalk. 21% owned on FanDuel, 37% owned on DraftKings at just 3,800. The biggest question here will be, how many minutes does Michael Porter Jr. play tonight?
Yeah, so it's a much better matchup when Porzingis is not out there for his type of skill set. So yeah, I think at 3,800, especially when Harden's a priority at that price tag, he looks really good and he grades out well. But keep an eye on if he starts or not. If he doesn't start, it might draw ownership down if it comes out in time. But I don't think we're gonna have this news. We'll see. But even if he doesn't start, he's gonna have to play minutes like into the 20s. So I think either way, he's a pretty strong play.
Yeah, I gave him 24 minutes. He still comes out as my best point per dollar option on DK. So I wouldn't be trying to get away from him at all. But pay close attention to Torrey Craig. This is the sort of spot where you would want him. Craig can go out there and guard Luka. Like, that is the guy that, they deploy Torrey Craig a lot against Houston, for Harden. I think you would see a very similar story here against Luka. So I would not be surprised if Torrey Craig soaked up a lot of minutes and Michael Porter Jr. just didn't get as many. Because if Michael Porter Jr. gets switched onto Luka, he's going to put him in a tumbler. Michael Porter Jr. is very bad defensively. But at 3,800 on DK, certainly looks like an excellent value option.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that either way, he'll get those minutes and look fine. Craig's interesting if he does start. We saw this happen, I think, on New Year's Eve too. Yeah. It's just he's at minimum price, but he doesn't really do anything great for fantasy purposes. But if he's like 1% owned at that point, and you could get some kind of pivot and the extra 800 does something good for you, it's okay to think about, but it's not great if people are just wondering if that happens. Monty Morris also probably sees a little bit of a bump off the bench. He was directly checking in for Will Barton in that last game. So not something I expect like in terms of him starting for him, but what do you think the odds are of that? Probably close to zero, right? Like a Morris, Harris, and Murray lineup.
It's not crazy. Given the way that Dallas is set up, I mean, they are pretty guard heavy as well. So I think that they can get by doing that. Not out of the realm of possibility. That's another thing to keep in mind. Hopefully we have that sort of news. That game starts at 7:30, so hopefully we have enough news here, at least with regards to a starting lineup. But yeah, I mean, Porter is clearly the guy you want to have as any sort of value option.
Yep, yeah, he's by far the best option for me on this team, and then Millsap, I gave him 25 minutes. That could be 22. It could be 28. So he grades out okay. And then it's just a bunch of guys after that in the Monty Morris, Gary Harris range. Right now, I'm not getting too much Jokic.
Yeah, I don't expect to either. He's my 7th ranked center on FanDuel. This is coming, 2 days ago, he was my number 1 center and I had 55% of him. And now I'm not even confident that I'd have more than 5%.
Yeah, and it's not the worst price tag, and there's no Porzingis. I'm not really sure why. I think it's just, I have him at like 1.33 or 1.35 right now, fantasy points per minute. Yeah. Just not getting there.
He's my lowest ranked center that made my player pool on FanDuel.
Okay.
And he was my highest exposed center 2 days ago. Amazing.
What was his price then? Was it like 85 or something?
I want to say that it was 88, but that makes me feel like it's a little higher, or it was a little lower than that. See if I can get to it. I don't know how quickly I can get the fantasy cruncher here. I didn't need to click there. I had it in front of me already. Ooh, no, I didn't. Center, Jokic. He was 88. 88.
Okay.
Now 93. Sorry, Jokic. I need that $500 back. Let's go to the New Orleans Pelicans hosting the Chicago Bulls. Pels 5-point favorites at home. Going to be without Drew Holiday once again. Lots of ownership coming in here. 20% to Brandon Ingram on FanDuel, 26 on DK. Favors is at 30 and 18. Josh Hart, 19% and 28. Lonzo and Redick, both in double digits on FanDuel. I think the only guy that I like is Lonzo Ball for 6,300. I don't want 30% owned Derek Favors here. I'm not sure that I want like 28% owned Josh Hart on DraftKings. I mean, he looks like an okay value, but not a 28% owned value. I'm not sure that I want 20% owned Brandon Ingram at 9,300. I'm a fan. I think those prices are too high. The only guy that I really have interest in from this entire team is going to be Lonzo Ball. Where do you stand? Because I think this one could be one that we disagree on.
Yeah, I'm a little bit different here. So I do like Ball. I'll start at the top. So Ingram at 8,800. So you're paying for it, but I actually think it's fine depending on how you set up your lineups. Like Lowry's there, I prefer him. Harden all the way up, I prefer him. But Ingram grades out really nice for me. What you get with no Ball is about a 1.3 fantasy point per minute producer. So that's a bump. Assist percentage goes up by 6%. You can put him at 35, 36 minutes, and it looks really good. I have him at 36 right now. So at $8,800, he grades out really well, especially for the matchup with no Wendell Carter Jr. out there, even better. So I like where he's at right now. He's a yes for me. And then I like Josh Hart a lot. So Josh Hart played 27 minutes in the last game, but he picked up 2 fouls in the first 2.5 minutes of the game. He probably lost about 4 or 5 minutes in that one when I went back and looked. I have him at 30 minutes right now, and he grades out as one of the better values. Makes sense why the ownership's coming in on him. If he starts again, he started for Drew Holiday in the last one in place of him. And when he's done that this year, we have a pretty decent sample. He's around a point per minute guy at just 4,200. The price point actually dropped. You had Etuan Moore. He continues to get minutes, but he saw a lot more minutes in that last game directly because of the Hart foul trouble early on. Hart played a ton of second half minutes. And I think if you get those same second half minutes he was going to get in the first half, he's around a 30-minute player. So I have right now Hart, my favorite play from this team. And then Lonzo and Ingram are very close. I think Lonzo's completely fine. You have that upside of the assist percentage coming up. He's playing bigger minutes, no Holiday out there. You get the triple-double upside, which is huge. Those three guys stand out. The Favors ownership, I'm nowhere near it. I don't really have much interest at all. So I think that's a pretty good natural stance right now.
Yeah, given the ownership on FanDuel, I'm more likely to have 0 Brandon Ingram and 0 Derek Favors than be near the field. And I expect to be right around the field, if not slightly over, on Lonzo Ball.
Yep, that's fair. Yeah, I'll have on DraftKings, I'll have, depending on how I build my lineups, like if I get a lot of Harden or all Harden, I'm probably not going to have a lot of Ingram, although he does look good in a vacuum. But Josh Hart, even with Michael Porter Jr. up there to his chalk, those guys right now are my 2 best values.
Yeah, like I'm going to be way more likely to have a combo of Gordon Hayward and Troy Brown at small forward than to have Brandon Ingram plus anything else.
That makes sense, yeah.
Given Harden, who I'm just going to have.
Yep.
And it's not like Luka is any sort of like garbage option as another 11-5 point guard. Now, on the Bulls side, no Wendell Carter Jr., which is pretty important, I think. We get Zach LaVine, 8,400 on FanDuel, 8,900 on DK. Not picking up all that much ownership. He's only $32 on Yahoo. I think that's pretty clearly his best price across the industry, but I'll happily get to a little bit more Zach LaVine here. Lauri Markkanen looks kind of interesting if he can get any additional run at center. I think that you can play Daniel Gafford as a punt option, 4,700 on FanDuel, 4,800 on DK. I don't know how many minutes he's going to be able to actually be out there. I gave him 24, but I think that he is certainly viable, especially at essentially no ownership, 3% on FanDuel, 1% on DK. And then, I'll get Chris Dunn because I can't stop getting Chris Dunn, even though Chris Dunn stinks. Talk to me about the Bulls.
Yeah, so I was trying to look at it. I think it was, I'm not really sure what it was a product of. Obviously, Carter goes out. You had Gafford play the whole fourth quarter in that last game. He saw 25 total minutes. You had Lauri, who came in questionable. I think he played one of his highest minutes in regulation of the year, around 36. And then you still had Thad Young play 28. So I didn't go back and look if there was anything. I know Chris Dunn played a little bit less minutes. I didn't see if there was any foul trouble. Well, I went back and looked, just not if there's any foul trouble there. But I don't think I'm going to project Thad Young for that many minutes. I do have Laurie getting a good amount of backup center minutes in this one. I have Gafford at 25 minutes right now, but he played in the last game, and he does look pretty decent when there's no ownership on him, but he's already priced up for what he should be if he sees that. Now, if he sees 28 or 30 minutes, it's much better. So that's where at low ownership, you can bet on something like that. If I give Chris Dunn like 28 to 30 minutes, he stands out with Laurie the most. And then it's a grouping of like Satoransky, Thad Young, and Gafford for me as all okay plays on this slate. I would probably take the biggest chance on Gafford because of some of the uncertainty. Just based on points upside, I like marketing the most here. I put him at 33 minutes for this one.
I'm at 32 right now. He's going to be the guy that I want to dig into most as the day goes on. I feel like I am going to pick up a little bit of steam on him. 8% owned on FanDuel, 6 on DK, so plenty of room to get in on the marketing train. Ultimately, I would have expected to get a lot more of this game before I looked at it, and now not so sure that that's going to happen.
Yeah, and I'm pulling it up now. I think Thad Young got 28 minutes in that one, and I was surprised to see that because of Laurie being active. And then I saw Carter went out, and I just assumed that Laurie played a lot more center minutes. But seeing Gafford played the whole fourth, you had Chris Dunn with 2 first quarter fouls, and then he picks up a foul in the third quarter and gets pulled. So he probably lost. He played 23 minutes. He probably lost about 4 minutes there. And I believe direct replacement in for him was Satoransky and then Young in the second. So I think Young picked up like 2 more minutes than he probably should have there. Nothing crazy, but I was just personally wondering why he still got 28 in that situation.
And that's something that we could see again today. Like if they do play Markkanen more at the 5, naturally Thad will pick up or at least solidify those minutes at the 4. They can go a couple different directions here, especially against the Pelicans, where it's not as if Derek Favors is a straight 5. I mean, he's going to run straight through Lauri Markkanen if he's on the floor, but Jackson Hayes is a wisp. Not a lot of strength there.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't think like, is Luke Cornett even still on this team?
I gave him 8 minutes.
Okay.
That doesn't necessarily mean that he's still on the team.
Yeah, because
his last appearance was on December 30th.
Yep. Okay.
Although Adam Mokoka also played on the 30th, and I really don't know who that is.
Yeah, no, I thought you were about to say something about Adam here at Osmo, so no, I have no idea who that is.
No, it could be him as an alter ego for all I know.
That's where he was when he was at the one Washington game.
Yeah, instead of being at the Wizards game, he was actually the 4th center for the Bulls. Utah Jazz, New York Knicks. Jazz 11-point favorites at home against New York. So the Knicks, this one's going to be tricky for them. Utah rotation is pretty much just locked in as of right now. We kind of know what we're getting with the Jazz. How did you handle Marcus Morris?
I have him out.
Same across the board today. 2 geniuses doing a show together. I gotta love it. Okay, I obviously have him out as well. The rest of this team is just a dumpster fire, but we'll get there, I guess. Maybe we won't even have to. Gobert, Mitchell, Bogdanovich, all roughly 10 to 15% owned on both FanDuel and DK. I like Rudy Gobert quite a bit at 7,900 on FanDuel. He is my number 1 center, particularly if he is really only 12% owned. Donovan Mitchell and Bojan Bogdanovic are both basically coin flips for me, given their prices and their salary. Neither one stands out much over the other, but I'm happy to get them because I don't have a lot of respect for the New York Knicks. Yeah,
I have those 3 main guys right there, the 3 I have the most interest in. For me, it goes on DraftKings. In a vacuum, Gobert, Bojan, and then Mitchell, they're all very close. When I just factor out the rest of the slate and some other centers that I like, Capella being one of them over Gobert at a similar price tag on DraftKings, I probably get a little bit more Bojan. He's the guy that I right now would project to get the most of. Those are the 3 guys I like. After that, it's not much. You have I don't know, Tony Bradley at minimum price, going to get 14, 15 minutes, not going to do much for you there. O'Neal keeps playing 30 minutes, but at low point per minute production. Clarkson's interesting because he's playing decent minutes, like 25 minutes on this team, but he's not the same. Like those 25 minutes on Cleveland, he's out there gunning. Here, he's like at best the second option, third option if he's out there with Bojan and Mitchell. So it looks nice because of the minutes and the price tag, but he's not taking the same amount of shots and just not doing a lot out there. So I'll go Bojan, Gobert, and Mitchell for me here.
Okay. I'll go Gobert, and then best of luck choosing between those other two goons. Probably Mitchell, Bojan, but like I can't. They are literally the same numbers on my screen.
Yeah, I have. Oh well, yeah, I have Bojan at like if you're just doing the 5x value stuff, 5.13, and Mitchell at 5.12.
It's tight. Rudy Gobert, $34 on Yahoo as well. I really like that price. Then we get to the New York Knickerbockers. Who the hell knows who's going to actually play today? In their game last night, they dusted off. Apparently, my wife is in the car right now. My phone just switched to CarPlay mode. Wayne Ellington got dusted off last night, played 15 minutes. Alonzo Trier got dusted off, played 12. Kadeem Allen saw the floor. Damian Dotson saw the floor for the first time in a couple games. So good luck projecting out whoever the hell is going to play here. Julius Randle is 7,300 on FanDuel, 7,600 on DraftKings. I'm willing to roster him. I'm willing to roster Elfrid Payton for 5,700 on DK, not really picking up any ownership. I'm willing to roster Mitchell Robinson just because sometimes he blocks 8 shots. I don't know what else to do with this Knicks team. It's like they have more than 15 roster spots somehow. They're just constantly rolling out dudes. I don't know where they come from.
Yeah. So this is one of them. I mean, right now Reggie Bullock for me, just when you factor in price point, is probably like one of the best point per dollar plays from this team, but that's like him getting like 17 fantasy points at 3,400. So I would rather have Wes Iwundu at a similar price range for value. Definitely rather have like the Michael Porter Juniors. Even take chances on Monty Morris is interesting, but Reggie Bullock stands out. I don't really know if I want to get to him, but he stands out as a good point per dollar. The guy I probably get to the most is Elfrid Payton. I ended up giving him 30 minutes here. He came back and played those minutes. Below $6,000 now on DraftKings is fine. The matchup isn't fantastic, but it's also not as terrible as it was last year. Still no Conley on this team, so it's not awful. Payton picks up statistics in a lot of different ways. After that, Randall's just like another guy in this slate for me. He seems okay at 7,600. Probably the ceiling on him isn't accounted for as much in my projection as it should be, but 7,600 seems fine. After that, not much. Like Bobby Portis is 3,800, got ejected last night. I didn't play many minutes, but since Taj, the last like 2 or 3 games starting at center, Bobby Portis has seen a little bit less run, and we only have like a game and a half of that sample, so it could really flop back at any second. So 3,800 is not terrible for him either if he's got no ownership on him.
This is just a terrible spot. They have one of the 3 lowest implied totals of the slate. They're not very good, and they're going up against a very legitimately decent defensive team. It's just rough. You just need to. If you think you've got a beat on somebody getting 25 minutes or something that doesn't normally do it, go for it, because otherwise you're wringing value out of a really dirty rag.
Yeah, and I don't know how. I don't even want to say bad and insult the man when he's not here. Kevin Knox is, but he just can't get on the court even in these situations. Like I think he played like 18 minutes last night or somewhere around there, but it's just rough. Was he a second round pick? What was he?
He's like the 12th overall pick.
That's what it was. Yeah, that's rough.
I don't know if it was 12, but it's somewhere in that neighborhood. 9th, even worse. Yeah. Even worse. Yeah,
I don't know what's up there.
He stinks. Is all. I mean, he's an athletic dude with very little basketball skill. That happens. Look, he's 20 years old. Plenty of time to get there. Hasn't exactly been in the best situation from minute 1, but he's been atrocious. One of the worst rookie seasons of like the history of the NBA last season by some of the advanced metrics. Hey, you gotta. Best of luck to everybody on that one. And now we're closing it out with another doozy. The Golden State Warriors hosting the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks are 13.5-point favorites in Oakland. Not in Oakland, but you know what I mean. Draymond Green back, 21% owned in FanDuel, 23% on DK. I have next to no interest in that. Guys that I'm going to be looking at from Golden State. Damian Lee, 5,200 on FanDuel, 5,600 on DK. He will be getting some ownership from me. Alec Burks, similar price tags. similar interest. You could probably talk me into a little bit of Willie Cauley-Stein, but that's not exactly fun. And Glenn Robinson just continues to exist for me on FanDuel because of his position and his constant 4K price tag. What in the world do you want to do with Golden State? In a nice pace-up spot for them.
Yeah. I really don't know what to do with Draymond. Seeing the ownership, I'm just tempted to not get there as much. Like if I give him 28 minutes, I don't really want any. If I give him 30, well then yeah, I start to want about as much as I'm seeing there. I have him at 28 right now. And yeah, I'm just not going to get there. And I might leave it at that if the ownership's high. I don't think it's that great of a play either way. After that, I like Willie Cauley-Stein here. He played 26 his last time out minutes, and he got checked out with like a minute 46 left because they were down by 15. So, I mean, no, not saying they won't be down by 25 in this one, but it's at least good to see that why he was out with an injury, he was going to play 28 minutes. If that one was a little bit closer, close it out. So I gave him 25 minutes in this one at 4,900. Just grades out as a nice value center option. Probably the thing I like the most from the Warriors on a point per dollar standpoint. After that would be Alec Burks. Kai Bowman still giving like 23 minutes. It doesn't look great, especially with Draymond back now in this one. Kai Bowman played terrible in the last game that he played, and he just couldn't stay on the court. He had like 5 turnovers in his in his 10 first half minutes, got 13 minutes in the second half, played, I think, turnover free ball. So if you give him those 13, I just gave him the normal 23 run, but I think there's a little bit more there. I have Willie Cauley-Stein interest, Burks, and that's about it. I guess pointing out that Chris was waived by the team, does that do anything for you for like Amari Spellman?
I don't think so. Like, if Willie Cauley-Stein is healthy, he's going to play the bulk of the center minutes. I think that Amari Spellman and Smilage each play the bulk of the backup center minutes, potentially leaking over to the 4. When Draymond is healthy, he's going to be playing the predominant, the large chunk of minutes at the 4. I think it only matters that Chris isn't there if Draymond was out.
Yep. Okay, that makes sense.
I don't think it'll matter all that much. Right? There's plenty of minutes to go around on this team, that's for sure.
Yeah, and yeah, that's about it. I don't think it looks that great. I'll get Willie Cauley-Stein, and that's like the biggest guy I'll get to.
And then we go to Milwaukee. 117 implied total is the second highest number on the slate. We're going to be without George Hill tonight. I know everybody's going to be super broken up about that. Giannis is 11-4 on FanDuel, 11-5 on DK, $57 on Yahoo, 20,300 on Fantasy Draft. I'm more than okay with getting to Giannis because he's been playing at a 1.85 FanDuel point per minute rate over the past 30 days. He's going to get there with some amount of stats. The question is, how many minutes is he on the floor tonight? Really hard to say. Small forward's usually pretty gross. I'm going to end up having some Giannis. He's very clearly behind James Harden for me. And as for the rest of Milwaukee, sign me up for some Dante DiVincenzo at 4,200 on DK. Probably solidifies his minutes a little bit more with George Hill out. I think Eric Bledsoe is perfectly acceptable. I have very little interest in Chris Middleton. Try to figure, what do you want to do with Milwaukee? Because they're going to absolutely wax these Warriors.
Yeah, I like Giannis more than Luka today, but nowhere near as much as Harden. So I'm just not going to get to a lot of Giannis. He grades out like for 60 fantasy points, but not a priority for me. I think the value is interesting here between, the Dante DiVincenzo's, even all the way down to the cheap 3K range with Wesley Matthews, Pat Connaughton coming back in this one. Because of the no George Hill, I think those guys, especially Wesley Matthews, secure for somewhere in the mid to high 20s. Pat Connaughton can get in that low 20s, usually the first guy off the bench if you were to want to play this as if it was going to blow out. So the guy I like the most is Dante DiVincenzo, and I'm really warming up to him because if Hart continues to get ownership, I like Hart a lot. I have him projected for like one more fantasy point, but if the ownership difference, and I don't know what DiVincenzo's at right now, but do you have DiVincenzo's ownership up? Because if he's highly owned, then it doesn't even matter.
18.
18 compared to Hart at like 28. So yeah, like if that was to stand or widen, I'm fine getting to like DiVincenzo shares and pivoting there for a guy that pretty much projects out the same at the exact same price point. And if anything is going to have similar stability in minutes now with no George Hill out there. So DiVincenzo's the guy I like the most. I will mention that Bledsoe is interesting at 6K. Yeah. It's just a matter of will he play more than like 25 minutes? It's a huge risk. If he played 28 today, then yeah, he'd be fantastic there. So I have some tournament interest there.
Yeah, I gave him 27. I don't really know what to do with him. This is just going to be a dumpster fire of a game. Like, I hate that it's the late night hammer, and I hate that I have mild interest in the Golden State side. It's gross.
This is just with Hill out, with how big of a spread. This is just the exact slate where Harden goes for his 80 and Pat Connaughton gets like 28, and then the garbage time game.
I think we have Kevin Love's burner account in our YouTube chat right now.
Is he saying things about Colin Sexton?
No, he wants to get traded to the Pelicans for Drew Holiday. I said that the Cavs would probably need to include some picks in that one. Yeah, that would not be a great fit for the New Orleans Pelicans there. I'm sure they would much rather have Drew Holiday.
I'm sure he would be just as mad being there.
Yeah, I'm sure he would. Well, I don't know. I'm sure playing with those guys would be more fun than the Cavs, but either way. All right, Sal, sum it up. What do you like on DraftKings tonight?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'll filter this. I will go with, Harden for sure. So if Porter Jr. starts, give me Harder, Michael Porter Jr., Lowry, Josh Hart, Clint Capella, and I'll go with DiVincenzo and Aaron Gordon.
Okay. So on FanDuel, point guard, it's going to be Trey Young, Aaron Holiday if Malcolm Brogdon is out. If not, Kyle Lowry. Shooting guard is James Harden with a bullet and then another bullet and then like 6 more bullets. Devontae Graham and Damian Lee would be my next 2 choices there. Small forward, it's going to be Troy Brown. And then just like a lot of yuck. Gordon Hayward if you want somebody in the mid-tier. Glenn Robinson if you want to pay all the way down. Giannis if you still have enough money left over after already having James Harden. Power forward, good luck. Whole position stinks as far as I'm concerned. Give me Maxey. Give me Michael Porter Jr. at 3,900. Give me Daniel Gafford at 4,700. I have very little interest in like the Sabonis, Bam Adebayo, John Collins area. And then at center, Rudy Gobert would be my number 1, but this is all pretty flat for me after that. So Vooch, Capella, hell, even Alex Len at 4,400, not outside the realm of possibility.
Fair enough.
There we go, guys. Please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, sign up at awesemo.com using the promo code 2020. You can get yourself 20 days of Awesemo Plus Platinum for just $20. Or if you want to take the big leap into the deep end, use the promo code New Year, one big word, NEWYEAR. Get $200 off an annual platinum package. That's 20% off the normal rate. It's a big time deal for us. We don't normally do anything that big on our annual packages. You can find those details on our Twitter account, twitter.com/awesemo_com. Again, tons of content coming up for the rest of the day, guys. Sal, anything else? Let the people know where they can find you.
No, nothing else for me. You can find me on Twitter at SalBetryDFS. And then I also have a YouTube channel with some DFS and fantasy content if you are interested.
There you go, guys. Check it out. Check out what Sal's got to offer. Check out the promo code links that we're getting dropped into chat as of right now. And best of luck. I will be back later tonight for Live Before Lock. We'll see you there. Good luck, guys.